Welcome back to our 1+1 series. Today is going to be on singleness in the community. Again, these are just our experiences throughout our years in ministry, and we would love for you to talk about this with your churches, have the communication going so that we can go deeper on what this looks like within a community, because this word has been thrown around a lot. But we'll love to go through some false expectations and even some myths and even things that we've seen that have been very beneficial to building a community within our churches. Well, I'd love to ask you guys, what are some false expectations when it comes to those who are single in our community?
I think the number one thing is being single doesn't mean that you're deficient in any way. It's not like you're a baby Pokemon or something and you're waiting to evolve, But I do believe God has given us, He has modeled for us healthy singleness in many ways. And He's made it a very viable way to live out our lives and honoring Him. I think oftentimes the culture tells us, Hollywood tells us that, hey, if I don't find that other, then that's it. My life is done. That's it. I'm a lost soul, But here in the church, we're reminded that, hey, our singleness is just a season, Ultimately, our ultimate end goal is to be with God. Our ultimate end goal is not to get married, to get hitched and then go to heaven. Because the reality is, the Bible tells us is that marriage isn't forever. Maybe diamonds are forever. I don't know if there's the saying there, but marriage won't be forever. But our relationships between our friends, the people that we do life with, that's going to be forever. That's going to be the things that we cultivate that will ultimately bear fruit. And we can treasure those things. And I think that's exciting. And I think that really reminds us, hey, singleness isn't something that we should be afraid of. Whether you're single or not, it's not something that, I'm going to dread. But instead, it's something now I can truly embrace. Because singleness does provide us many venues to do different things. Yeah.
Along with our video on marriage or those who are dating, I feel like oftentimes married people are expected to hang out or fellowship with married people. Single people, which leaves it for single people to only hang out with single people. I think that is just so not right. There's so many things that we can learn from each other. I don't know if it's so cliche to say that, but with the different experiences that we are blessed with, just like how married people are sometimes expected to be with married people, single people are expected to be with single people. That shouldn't be the case. As a community, we should be spending time with each other and learning from each other from the different experiences that we gain. And another expectation oftentimes that I see that we mentioned earlier is that single people probably have more time, which is why some families might be more inclined to ask those who are single to babysit. But there's so much more that they can offer. For sure, everybody we should make ourselves available to help another brother or sister out, another family in our church out. But there are more things that singles can do, not just babysit, but to be able to teach something or to share their experiences about, or sharing another story with the children and the families that we can all learn from.
I love how you brought up just the fact that single people don't need to hang out with single people. I would say in this community that we're all part of right now, some of my closest friends are now married men, and I think that's really cool. In the past, it was never that way. But I think because we're so integrated together as a community, those artificial barriers or life stage barriers don't really play a role into that anymore. And I think through that, it makes my single life way more exciting. There's definitely that. I'm just not thinking, when I'm going to hit up my next single friend to hang out, but I'm just not even putting that word single or married. I'm just saying my friend, how I'm going to hit up my friend to hang out, right? I think that's really cool.
That's really interesting because when you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, like my closest friends during the years that I've been married predominantly are single. And I was just, and then like my mind was like, wait, why is that? Why is that? And I think, and then I kind of just went through the names in my head, and I realized these are individuals that love so broadly, and they're like investing in so many different lives. Whereas like, I think married life kind of like sucks you into just, you know, prioritizing your family, prioritizing, not everything, like, you know, like there's life outside of the family, but there's like a priority there. Whereas when you're single unto the Lord and you're still following Jesus, and that you're loving people and showing them the love of Christ, that's much broader. I think they bring this unique capacity to see a broader spectrum of humanity to the table in their lives that I think I resonate with a lot. And so my closest friends have been single people, because I think I appreciate that. There's like a sense in which like I vibe with that, you know, and that's like really important for me, that they're a part of my life too, that I have friends like that who can see the larger spectrum of humanity, and they have been my closest friends. I think one of the sorrows then that I carry is that oftentimes those who are single unto the Lord, who spend their life's energy caring for such a wide spectrum of humanity, or just a wide community, are often treated as having more time than other people. And I don't know where that false assumption or expectation comes from. Like Sandy, you were touching on that a little bit, in that like we always ask single people to babysit as if they have time. Like, why is that? Like, that assumption is so wrong. Like, we've all been single at one point. None of us comes out of the womb married. I don't think. I don't think that's still a practice. You know, like, I will give you my unborn child. You know, like that's not a thing. We've all been there as single people, and we were busy. We were busy. So why did we forget that? As single people, you know, we were learning to be there for our friends, for our parents, for our neighbors. You know, and we have to honor that, respect that as a community, and say, hey, you know, they're following Jesus in that way, in ways that I cannot, and in that they contribute something that is absolutely essential, and you can't replace it. You can't do without it, because they give you that wide spectrum, that wide love, which is really good and really important.
For myself, I feel like the singleness community in churches is no longer a community. You know, like there's no such thing. I feel like, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like as a single man, it's not good to be in a group of singles. You know, I think that's why it's important to talk about this, because I myself as a single man should not feel like I need to be married to appease you or to feel better about myself. Because one, I don't believe everyone should be single, nor do I believe everyone should be married. We've all met married people that are effed up, right? Like you just should not be married. You're actually better single. You know, so I feel like vice versa. Like I don't have to feel like I need to be dating or married to fit into a community. I feel I can have a community just as a single person. I think one, to not forget that even in 1 Corinthians 7, like Paul said, it's better to be single as I am, you know, like, but if you need to be, then fine, go ahead and get married. It's okay. I think in our society, marriage and people who are married and those who are single is in a very non-equal platform. You know, one's up here and the other's down here. I would love to see them both to be on an equal platform, not to debunk marriage or those who are parents, but to really upbring those who are single. You know, like a very common thing that I feel is, so when are you going to get married? And I'm like, well, I don't ask you when are you going to be single or when are you going to get a divorce? You know, because sometimes, yeah, it is like, I'm like, you're better single. I must say, like as a in ministry, I believe if you're single, you might be better. You know, so I feel not only that, but you know, we will all be single one day. And the truth of the matter is your spouse will pass away, right? If you don't practice that today, what are you going to do when your spouse passes away? Now, all of a sudden, you don't know how to work as a single person. You don't know how to be in a community because you never practiced it. So I feel like that is such a myth that you must be, like married or dating. And therefore, like, I feel like I'm second class all the time. But for those of you who know me, I have a lot of things going on. Like, I have a company that has 670 people that we must take care of, that are from our community, from our churches, that we provide money for, that employs people in the neighborhood. And then you're gonna come to me and say, oh, I have a lot of time because I'm single. No. I think even when we look at our churches, oftentimes our churches are the ones who are ran by people who are not parents or people who are not married. They're the ones who are gathering at like local pubs, local restaurants, and hanging out and inviting their friends. They're the ones who are saying, let's go do something after church. Let's go hang out. Like when I look at my company, it is the single people who are working a lot on weekends. And even till today, when I look at I don't know how to create a single manual. There's things like maternity leave, paternity leave, all these things, but I can't find anything for single people. So somehow, even in our culture, it's like, well, it's not okay to be single because there's no benefits for you. Now, how do we help that? How do we encourage single people to know that they have value within our churches? Because I do look around and I go, well, majority of the people who are running your ministries are single people, or not people who are not parents, So I feel like we definitely need to, talk about what that looks like. What is that and? Because as of right now, I don't think there's much of an and for singles. It is just, I need to move on. I need to move on to the next stage, which is such a problem. We need to and this is why we encourage people to talk about this within our churches. What does it look like to live in community? I don't know if you guys have seen, but even people who are single, they just want to get married and date and then disappear. How do you guys feel about that? What have you seen, and how does that affect community, or any kind of thoughts that you might have had when I was speaking?
Being in Elmhurst is the most diverse city in the world. Can we have that diversity at church? And when I first came to the Elm with my spouse and I, our family unit was the only family without children. I didn't even realize that until somebody pointed that out. And I was like, what? Why does that even matter though? Like what Arthur had said earlier, I don't see you as single. I don't see you as married, single. Just like you're a friend, you're a brother, and you're a sister. Now, the relationship status is the last thing I look at when I determine whether or not I want to invest time in this relationship, in this friendship. It's really about the person themselves, their heart, their dreams, what they want to do with the community, what do they want to do to encourage others or to support those who are voiceless. Now, those are the things that I would look at, not, oh yeah, she's in that stage where blah, blah, blah. I feel like it's so unnecessary. I mean, yes, it adds on to the different things that you face on a regular basis. And, there's definitely nothing wrong. In fact, I think it's great that you take pride as being a parent and you find a lot of value in that. But, that's just, each person is where they are for a reason. And I feel like oftentimes we put a lot of weight on people's marital status or their relationship status. Why is that? Why can't we just look at someone and say, thank you for being my friend, and see, the different experiences they have and us being able to learn from that. Yeah, I just think that it's unnecessary to put someone's relationship status on a platform, on a pedestal, and say that that's all they are.
Yeah.
I think you touched on something about, yes, there is the idea that singles, they have more time then to focus their attention on their relationship with God, but it goes both ways, right? It's whether you're going to spend it with God or you're going to spend it with something else. And I think what you said about, hey, that second point you said, spend it on community is going to be so huge, because there's so many things right now that are begging for our attention. You know, social media, there's going to be the newest Netflix show or anything, YouTube, that's just going to pull at you as a single, especially because you have now some time to devote into these things. And I think for us as a church, the challenge is, you know, what are we providing? You know, what platforms are we providing for singles to hang out? What platforms are we providing in order for singles to feel cared for? And I think that's going to be huge when we continue to have these discussions, continue to cater and think about, you know, what are our singles going through, you know, in our neighborhood, in our communities. And I think that's exciting, and that's something that that singles need to be reminded of, that they're cared for, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like who gets the most grunt out of it? Definitely, I feel it's singles, because it's not like you can own the word and be proud of it. I do, actually, but oftentimes people do not. But you're proud saying, I have a spouse, I'm married, oh, these are my kids. But when you say, oh, I'm single, then of course it's always oh, are you looking? Are you dating someone? You know, as if something's wrong. So I think that needs to be reclaimed. Like, that word somehow needs to be reclaimed and say, there's nothing wrong with this. Absolutely. Like, just like married or parents, you need to reclaim this like, I don't know, this word. You know, you need to reclaim this word so that there's nothing wrong. And our churches need to do, I think, a much better job at one, like, those questions need to stop. Because then I encourage single people to say, well, when are you going to be single? To those who are married. And two, also for singles to also not feel that they have to move on to the next stage. That it is okay where they are. God has placed you there as a single individual, not by accident, right? He has you single because there's a reason for that. And if you have to be single for the rest of your life, again, you're not the only one. Like, majority of the Bible quotes that we take are from two single men, Jesus and Paul. You know, and they talk about those parents and marriage. Like, they're the ones giving advice. So I would encourage those who are single to, one, not feel that they have to, I guess, you know, graduate to the next level. And two, to use that time to really build community. Really use that time to incorporate those who are parents, incorporate those who are married, incorporate those who are single. You're the ones I see often in churches that are going to the newcomers and welcoming people. Like, I see that all the time through all the ministries I've worked in. You are the ones that are doing that. Don't stop. We actually need you. Like, we need you to do that. And are there benefits to all of them? Absolutely. But Paul's absolutely right. Like, you know, those who are married are concerned with the things of the world. You know, so you know, if your kids are screaming and running around, you have to take care of that. No one is blaming you, you know, but those who are single are concerned with the things of the Lord. And I really do believe when you are single, you have more time thinking about what God is doing in your life. Hopefully that's what you're doing. Well, thank you so much for listening to this segment. You know, again, please watch this with your church. Talk about these things, because we really want our brothers and sisters out there to really learn together what it means to live in community, not just this fluffy word, right, of living together and doing life together. What does that mean? There's obviously all these myths that we're talking about. We really want to talk about that with you and together as we learn and grow. Obviously, these are just our experiences. We would love to hear about yours as well. Our next series is going to be on practical things that we've seen that helps you know, grow community. It's going to be just hospitality and generosity. Please tune in on those last two. We'd love to see you.